Well, doing this review is a right royal job. And this time it's a Tadano ATF 220G, which is a 5-axle mobile crane, and this model is made by WSI models. There's a manual we'll see in a moment, and the model is a limited edition in the colours of Royal Transport of Norway. The manual that comes with the model is very good. There's a full parts list, and it describes all of the main features of the model. But not all of them, so there's a few more features shown in this review. To begin with, we'll just put the crane in a road-going formation, and we'll start by taking some rope off of the winch drum. A key is supplied to turn the drum, and it's got a nice positive brake action. In a blink of an eye, we've reeved the hook and attached it on at the front. And next you also have the option to carry a small part of the counterweight on the deck. As we like to travel heavily loaded, we'll put that on, and with a bit of skill you can locate it in the correct position. The model comes with a hydraulic fly jib, so we need a hose reel to run the hydraulics. And that's a separate part which you can attach, but it's a loose fit. So rather than gluing, we'll go the high-tech approach, which is stuff a bit of paper in the hole, and then the hose reel fits more tightly. Next we can carry the lattice jib on board, and once it's located we can fix it in position by inserting a steel pin. But it's probably not something to attempt if you've had a few too many beers. Lastly, there's a handrail to add, so we'll put in the folded transport version. With the crane rolled over, we see a detailed chassis. It has a ladder at the front, and these suspension and transmission components are modelled. The wheels have got nice big tyres with a decent tread pattern. At the front, the cab looks really good with its decoration, and there are plenty of small details which give it a realistic look, and that includes a number plate. The hook block is metal, and it has safety catches on the hooks. The big hose reel looks good, and there's nice texturing on the wheel arches, and it's always nice to see tyres with branding in the sidewalls. There are plenty of nice graphics, and the colour scheme of gold text on a burgundy background seems to be a favourite of royal types. Moving to the back, there's more nice graphics, and there's textured steps, and there's more nice texturing leading up to the carrier deck. At the back of the crane there's an equipment box, and as you can see it's filled with replica timbers. Underneath the box there are lights detailed and a realistic number plate. The detailing in the engine area is very nice, and it includes mesh grills and diamond plated walking surfaces. The outrigger beams are metal, and they include very nice detailed graphics. The lattice fly jib is a nicely formed metal part with metal pulleys. The boom has got sections with realistic fin walls, and it's nice to see Royal Transport graphics printed on every section. For the features, we are back underneath the crane again, and there is stiff sprung suspension on each of the axles. They also each have independent steering. It is of the notched variety, and it has a moderate range of movement, but it does allow you to replicate any steering of the real crane, including crab steering. Good heavens, we're on site already, so better get set up, and we start by pulling out the outriggers. The pads get wound down, and there are large spreader plates which fit under each pad, and there's enough downward movement on the pistons to enable the crane to be displayed wheels free. Next we replace the handrail to the working mode, and then we can use our fingers to get the boom up. The main ram is a metal cylinder, so it's very smooth, and you lock it using a key on a tiny grub screw. At least you can do that when you actually get the key into the screw. All you need to make sure of is that it's done up nice and tightly. The counterweight comes in a number of separate parts, so you can display the model loading up its own ballast. One of the nicest parts of this model is the way the counterweight attachment works, and that's because it copies what the real crane does, and it lowers pistons to engage with the counterweight and then lift it up. So on the model you use a key to lower and raise the pistons, and the first thing you do is to swing round the crane to engage the counterweight, and then you can wind up the pistons to lift the counterweight. So this is really a nice system because of the way it copies the real crane. Once you've lifted up the counterweight, the crane is ready for work and you can rotate the whole of the crane around. The model also includes cheek weights if you want to go for the extra capacity. Another nice feature on the model is the fold-out ladders. The modelling of the telescopic boom is to modern standards with locking points at 46, 92 and 100%. And this telescopic boom has multiple sections and you just pull them out in the usual way. In doing so, it's best to have a load on the hook block, and that helps stop the rope jumping off the hook pulleys. We can extend the reach of the boom by attaching the lattice fly jib, and that gets offered up onto the end of the boom where steel pins secure it. Then to run the hoist rope you need to lift up the guide wheel, and once you are all set you can use the hydraulic ram to get an offset angle, and it's stiff enough to hold a pose. The model offers another option, which is to use the fly jib as a heavy lift jib, and to do that you remove a couple of nuts and bolts and take off the top part of the jib. You can then re-reeve the heavy hook onto the fly jib. It is time for a genuine imitation real-life test, and we're going to carry out load testing of the crane. The boom has been set at a 16 metre radius and 30 metre length, and if we go to the load chart we can select the 16 metre radius, and then read off the column with a 30 metre boom, and that gives us a maximum capacity of nearly 40 tonnes. The lifting frame on the crane weighs a scale 10 tonnes, and let's add a further 10 tonnes. So now we have 20 tonnes hanging from the hook. 2 more 10-ton weights adds up to 40 tonnes, and 2 more takes us up to 60 tonnes. And still the crane is performing well. Another 20 tonnes makes the load up to 80 tonnes, and that's double the safe working load. And still our model performs well. Adding another 20 tonnes gives us 100 tonnes. And as you can see, at that point we just reach the tipping load. So the tipping load is 2.5 times the safe working load, and so our crane passes the genuine imitation real-life test. Once again, WSI Models has produced a very attractive limited edition model. The Royal Transport colour scheme is particularly nice, and that adds to a model which is already very detailed, with very nice functionality. So if you're looking for a really nice 5-axle mobile crane model, this one is excellent.